distinguished friends of victims in Palestine who came to London to be the voice of humanity, human conscience. Dear friends, first of all, welcome. Welcome to this session. The session which aims to be the conscience of humanity in London, but you came all over the world, from different corners, from different continents you came, and thank you very much for being here in a very short period of time. We are going through a historical process. We are watching every day a genocide continuing on the ground in Gaza. Of course, the term genocide was discussed among us in our Zoom meeting. I remember Phyllis' excellent comment that this is a genocide. Yes, why? Of course, there could be many definitions of genocide, legal definition, political definition, but when we look at the basic content of these definitions, three dimensions, three characteristics of genocide is always there. One is mentality. The second one is methodology. The third one is consequences and results. What is mentality? Of course, yesterday, this meeting, historically important because of the formation of the group, because of the purpose, and because of timing. Yesterday, there was a ruling by ICJ. We are strategically planned this, knowing that there would be such a decision Monday before our meeting. Maybe this is the first meeting of leading intellectuals, international lawyers, and also former representatives of UN coming together and making an assessment of the decision of ICJ as well as the term genocide. When I look, just a short analysis, of course, legal interpretation is there. I said mentality, methodology, and consequence. And in fact, Israeli Minister of Defense has proven that their intention was a genocide in 3 sentences. He said, we are fighting human animals. This is mentality, how you approach others. Usually those who are committing genocide, they think that they are chosen nation, they are more equal than the other human beings, like German mentality, that they are super nation. So here, all nations are equals for them, but Israelis are more equal. They are more human beings. So he defines Palestinians as human animals. This is the mental background of starting a genocide. Second sentence, he said, I have released all restraints. It means everything is justified to have this ontological superiority of Israelis to make the reality. So mentality is ontological superiority, like what Nazis claimed before, and now they think that they are human beings, the others are human animals. Then they say, I have released all restraints, means all methodology are legitimized, justified, because of this ontological superiority of a group against ontological inferiority of others. And the third sentence, we will eliminate everything, not only human beings, cities, streets, infrastructure, environment. So this is typical genocidal mentality. Because those who committed genocide in the past, again like Germans, like Nazis, they think that historical flow is in their hand. They will decide who should be eliminated. They will decide who should be prevailing of history. The historical flow necessarily gives a special status of one nation. These 3 sentences, in fact, of this Minister of Defense, Gallant of Israel, defines very, definitively what genocide means. And now, we are human beings from different continents, religions, beliefs, nations, philosophical approach, etc. But we believe that we are all equal human beings. There is no ontological superiority. And the international law, based on these basic assumptions, which humanity suffered for centuries to make and order. When we observe these, although Brother Abdullah mentioned that I am the initiator, no. In fact, Richard Falk is the initiator because he is my very close friend for the last 30 years, not only as a friend personally, but a mental friend, a philosophical friend. Whenever we came together, when I was in academic life, in Malaysia or Turkey, hours and hours we exchanged our opinions. Then I became chief advisor. Continuously, almost every year we met, sometimes very time, thanks to Hilal Hanım. Interestingly, our roads intersected in 2008. As Brother Abdullah mentioned, I was mediating between Israel and Syria for 2 years, discreet, confidential mediation for a permanent solution. And it came to a point of agreement. In 1 week time, everything was ready to be signed. Peace at the exchange of Golan Heights, etc. Ehud Olmert was prime minister. Monday, we were supposed to meet Turkey, Syria, and Israel openly. Saturday, Israeli army attacked Gaza. Although I put a condition from the very beginning to Syrians that Lebanon should be quiet, to Israelis that Gaza should be quiet. Anyway, I don't want to go into details of history. When they attacked Gaza, our relation almost cut. And I went to Egypt and Syria. Together, some of our diplomats went to Israel. And we mediated between Israel, Syria, Hamas, and Egypt. At that time, Hamas leaders were in Damascus. Same time, exactly same time, Richard Falk was appointed as the special rapporteur of UN Secretary General. So our missions were same, to have a permanent peace and to prevent any atrocities, ethnic cleansings, or genocide. We coordinated our efforts. Israelis attacked him, Israelis attacked me, but at the end of the day, we were able to have a ceasefire in January 2009. Second war, 2012, when there was war, that time we coordinated between Turkey, United States, and Qatar. And I went to Gaza when Israel was bombarding, together with my wife, together with 10 Arab ministers. They left Gaza after bombardment started. I stayed there one night. And we were with my wife, Dr. Sarah, we were in Al Shifa Hospital, when the Shifa Hospital, even at that time, was bombarded. So I know the realities on the ground, and I know how Israelis are approaching. I know how deep state of Israel, let me say, prevent a peace at the last moment through attacking Gaza. For them, Gaza is an instrument for their ambition. And because of this historical, in 2014, again, I mediated between, together with John Kerry, American foreign minister, and Qatari former prime minister Hamad bin Jassim, and later Khalid Atiyah, we achieved ceasefires. Why I give these details? Knowing all this background, important thing is to make a paradigmatic shift on the ground. The first paradigmatic shift must be on mentality. Historical flow is in the hands of all human beings equal to each other. And elimination of a people, whoever they are, in Rwanda, in Arakan, or in Palestine, is a human crime against humanity. We consulted with Richard immediately after the 7th of October. And let me just one point. Usually those committing genocide, they make a special egocentric historical analysis, deforming historical facts. Now Israel is trying to justify their genocide through October 7 attacks, as if there was nothing before, as if there was a peace on the ground, as if for 76 years the right of self-determination of Palestinians were not ignored, or 242 in 1967, almost 56 years, was not achieved. Oslo process was successful. All basic rights of Palestinians have been ignored. And they say, yes, 7th of October, history started. I think UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres was very right. Nothing has occurred in a vacuum. When Masjid al-Aqsa was attacked for months, when Arab states start normalizing relations with Israel without making reference to Palestine, and especially when Netanyahu showed a map in UN General Assembly, 22nd of September, that there is no Palestine anymore, there is only Israel, Palestinians start to think, we are lost. So we have to take our destiny in our hand. This is not to legitimize October 7, but we have to understand the background. And now, after this analysis with Richard, we decided to organize a group. 20th of November, we organized a working committee. Then 4th of December, many of our friends here, they participated in a Zoom meeting, and we decided to have a declaration of global intellectuals against genocide in Gaza. And we made this declaration 18th of December. I am sure all of you almost signed this declaration. And afterwards, after our consultations, we decided to have a face-to-face meeting as quick as possible to make this voice of humanity be heard by all the diplomats, intellectuals, and among the signatories of 139, we have leading statesmen, I don't mean myself, other leading statesmen, like President Marzouki, and I wrote a letter to President Ramaphosa immediately after the attack, and also other leaders whom I had personal relations, like President Lula in Brazil, and Nobel Prize winners, Pulitzer Prize winners, human rights activists, I see all of them. I don't want to mention each name, but it was a very influential group of signatories. Now, yes, we will discuss the realities on the ground in the first session, but everybody knows now 25,700 civilians were killed, 11,000 children, 7,500 women, 64,487 wounded, many of them amputations. Every day, 10 children being, one or both legs were amputated. Now we have at least 1,000 children without legs or arms. In Ukraine, of course, we don't compare pains, but in 2 years, only there were 30 children amputated. In 2 months, 3 months, 1,000 children. There are reports of World Health Organization on this subject. And 93% of the population facing crisis level of hunger. 360,000 housing units were demolished. As Gallant say, they want to eliminate everything. Barbaric approach, everything. Now, we will analyze, of course, the decisions yesterday, but I want to, on behalf of all of you, on behalf of all Palestinian children, women, I want to express our gratitude and thanks to President Ramaphosa of South Africa. I personally sent a message to him several times, and we were always in contact with the South African ambassador in Ankara. And they have proven that they are real children of Mandela to defend human rights against apartheid and ethnic cleansings. Lastly, I want to make 2 comments, and I will conclude. We will have enough time to share our views. I want to listen Jeremy Corbyn, like you, who is one of the voice of human dignity throughout his political career. 2 points. One was, in yesterday's ruling of ICJ, there is one element missing: ceasefire was not called urgently. But we have to make an interpretation. All the points raised by ICJ yesterday inherently calls for ceasefire. Without ceasefire, it was impossible to implement those things. This should not give a right to Israelis that there is no call for ceasefire, so we can continue to attack. No, inherently, it is there. Without a ceasefire, none of these objectives could be achieved. Secondly, I want to make a call. Since yesterday, ICJ calls to end this hunger and all these the basic needs of Palestinians should be, taken care of. I call all the states, UN, to take necessary steps to send humanitarian aid to Gaza. Because, as I said, 93% of the population facing crisis of level of hunger. We know UN Security Council, in UN Security Council, those who are preventing the countries, I don't want to mention the names, they are as responsible as Israel for not taking any action, any decision in UN Security Council. If that UN Security Council decision is missing, now I am calling to regional powers who claim to be the defenders of Gaza, like Turkey, my own country, Turkey, like Egypt, like Saudi Arabia, like other Muslim nations. Not only Muslim nations, South Africa is the human nation, not Muslim, not Christian. We have to show that this is not an issue of between Muslims and Jews or Christians or others. So all the people who feel these states, they have to form a coalition of willings. US formed a coalition of willing against Iraq, although there was no enough evidence for the existence of weapons, chemical weapons there. Now, these states must come together to form a coalition of willing for airdropping, not to make fight, not to make war, airdropping of necessity of food, airdropping. I wish to say air bridge, but since there is no airport in Gaza, airdropping like what was done in 1948, this Berlin blockade. So there should be airdropping, and there should be a clear message to Israel. If you prevent this airdropping, we declare this as a war against us. Do this. And there should be a ban of no-fly zone over Gaza for a period of time. And those countries joining to this coalition of willing must send helicopters. Not American Navy in front of Gaza, not British Navy in front of Gaza, but human Navy to blockade, to end the blockade, and to drop necessary needs of Gazan people. They are dying because of hunger, children, women, elderly people, pregnant people, women. So this is my urgent call to all nations who have been using Palestine as their national propaganda. They must come together and they must make a clear declaration that now we are starting airdropping humanitarian operation in Gaza, not to fight against Israel, just to help Gaza, and we send a message to Israel. If they prevent this, that will be a declaration of war by Israel, not by us. Such a coalition of willing is the only way to give a strong message to the world. And I am sure after such a message, US have to think seriously to prevent a regional war, and has to take a decision in UN Security Council without blocking UN Security Council to take any decision. They have to act. Otherwise, they will not change their attitude. Everybody is happy. Israel is thinking that they are eliminating everything. Americans are thinking, now we are gaining time. People will forget what has happened, like before, especially EU. I have been defender of EU in Turkey, everywhere. EU values, European Union values are respected. But what they did is a shame for European values. I don't want to give the names of the countries to their leaders. I wrote personal letters, many of them I know. But it is a shame. After 7th of October, they went to Israel to show solidarity, but they are observing all the basic European values are being destroyed, and they are just watching. Where are they? Of course, we are defending territorial integrity of Ukraine, but the crimes against Ukraine, if they are, comparatively, what is happening in Palestine is clear. So I don't want to take more time, but these two calls, immediate ceasefire, as well as helping to Gazan people through airdropping by a coalition of willing states, is my two call at the beginning of this very meaningful, timingly meaningful, substantively meaningful meeting. Again, thank you very much for all being with us. And thanks, Jeremy and Richard, for their contribution and support for this project. Thank you very much.